What's up guys, Ryan here from Mud Gunner, and today we are talking piston rifles. On a side note, I know we just hit like 300 new subscribers today, so welcome guys, thank you for following my channel. And if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Ryan. I do mud runs and shoot guns, hence the channel name Mud Gunner. I've been on YouTube since like 2017, but back in December of last year, I really started going hard at it, and I've posted a video every single day since December 13th, so we're at like 200 something videos in a row. And yeah, I'm a big rifle guy at heart. I do like handguns as well, but rifles I would say are my specialty. And my goal one day would be to have like all the specialty type rifles. So I got a few back here behind me. These are all piston rifles. I do like direct impingement rifles as well, but I think some of the coolest rifles happen to be piston driven, at least in a 5.56. So we're gonna be talking about some of the ones that I like today. And in no particular order, well actually, I think we'll just go from left to right. We're gonna start off with this little guy right here. This is an IWI Galil Ace SAR. Now there's two generations of the Galil Ace. You have the, well I guess they're both SARs, but you have this first gen that has a quad rail, and then you have the second gen that has an M-LOK rail. But the original Galil was made by IMI, so it's an old Israeli weapon. I have one of those as well, I just don't have it out here today. But yeah, the Galil Ace is a cool gun. I don't think there's any real performance difference between the first gen and the second gen. I have them both. This first gen is an 8-inch 5.56, and my second gen is a 16-inch 7.62. But yeah, this one's pretty cool because it's a little bag gun. So I actually carried this into my backpack for a little bit. My current backpack gun is a Sig MPX. But yeah, it's a really cool gun. I enjoy shooting it. I haven't really pushed it out to distance, maybe 100, 200 yards. But we're running a Meprolite M21 on here. So this is actually an Israeli optic. And then I have a little Surefire Scout Light. And as far as like, you know, overall shooting, it shoots very nice. I think it'd probably be a little bit better with a longer barrel. Maybe like an 11 or 12-inch barrel would be sick in this caliber. I think they actually did a 13-inch barrel for this in a 5.56. But yeah, I do like having the 8-inch. It's fun to shoot. Yeah, it's very controllable, and they're kind of beefier guns. So in a 5.56, it's pretty soft shooting. Trigger-wise, trigger's not bad. It's a 2-stage trigger from the factory, but it's got a little bit of mush. It helps if I put the safety off. So yeah, it's got a lot of travel going forward, but other than that, I mean, it shoots great. So I do like having it, and it is a very cool piston gun. If you're looking for an overall 5.56 gun, I do think it runs on the heavier side for the base gun. It's just a beefy gun, but it looks pretty cool. So yeah, I do like the Galil. If you're looking for one of the most practical modern piston guns, I do like the CZ Bren. Now this is an 805 Bren, they no longer make this, but I also have a Bren 2 as well. This is an 11-inch barrel, my Bren 2 is an 11-inch barrel. And one thing I've always liked about the Brens is it's one of the smoothest 5.56s out there. Like if you listen to this charging handle, I'll bring it close to the mic, it feels like butter, it sounds like butter when you charge it and when you're shooting it. From the factory, you have a very light 2-stage trigger. So this trigger is extremely soft shooting. Like, I really enjoy it. Recoil control, very similar to like the Scar, and it always kind of looked like the Scar. This is one that I've actually wanted to SBR for a long time. It's just hard finding the stocks for them. So if you guys know anyone, I need a Bren 805 stock in flat dark earth so I can SBR it. And then cons with this gun is if I replace the muzzle device with anything or most things, a lot of muzzle devices are a little bit too wide, so it would prevent me from taking the piston out, which is right here if I can twist this. So I swapped this at one point for a different muzzle device so I could run it suppressed, but then the piston cup right here kept hitting it, so I could not disassemble it with certain muzzle devices. So that's just something to note. On the Bren 2, I believe there's enough space that you can put any muzzle device on the 11-inch. So, but yeah, the 805 Bren I really like, and very soft shooting. Price was always like better than the Scar 2 because I think even to this day they're like $1,800, where Scar has gone up significantly in price. They're like $3,300, $3,400. So if you want a Scar type gun that shoots just as good and is lighter, I've always thought the Bren is a cool gun. So, but I like both. But the Bren's awesome. I love it, and I'm looking to deck out my Bren 2. My Bren 2 still isn't built up yet. So 805 Bren's awesome. Then we have a pretty iconic one. So this is the only like AR-ish one that I have out here. Well, I guess the MCX is too, but this is an HK MR 5.56. It's kind of like the civilian HK 416. Very cool gun. It's an iconic gun. It's been used around the world. Navy SEALs have like the short barrel 416s, like the 10.4-inch barrel. I'd love to get one of those. Downside with HK stuff is it's all very expensive. So MR 5.56s used, they're in the 2 range, brand new, they're like $3,200. A 416 factory upper, you're gonna buy a used one for almost like $4 grand, which is insane. I really want to get one, but I can't justify that much for an upper. So yeah, at some point I would like to do a 10-inch MR556 build or a 416 build and do that in flat dark earth. But overall, this is like, I've always thought of this as like the end of the world AR-15 because it is built like a brick. Like, it's very solid lockup. There's no like play in it. It comes with everything you basically need from the factory. Comes with a nice 2-stage trigger. I believe they came with their own factory iron sights at one point, but they don't anymore. So mine is a quad rail model. At that time, I believe they were shipping with either Troy sights or their own sights, but the modern ones ship with an M-LOK rail and they don't have iron sights. But I really like the first gens that were coming out with this quad rail, so I was searching for one of these. I took the Troy sights that came with it off and I put these Bob Rowe sights on here because I have an Aimpoint T2 that sits a little bit higher on this LaRue mount. So these sights work pretty well. I am also running a Modlite OKW on there, or sorry, not an OKW, it's a PLH. And then it's got a Surefire pressure pad, and then it's got a T-Rex Arms light bar, so it pushes the light out. I've really wanted to turn this into a 10-inch gun, but I also don't want to mess with it. Like, I want to keep it factory. So yeah, at some point I'd like to just get another one and do a 10-inch build as well, but unfortunately they are pricey guns, so yeah. But I do like having it. It's a very great gun, and like I said, I've always thought of this as like an end-of-the-world AR-15, but it's not necessarily an AR-15 because it's all proprietary parts. And that's the one thing with most piston guns, they are all proprietary. I also realized I didn't really talk about the difference between piston and DI. I have a whole video talking about the difference between piston guns and DI guns. So DI stands for direct impingement, but basically in a piston gun, you have a metal rod that when you shoot, the gas goes through your barrel into the gas block and pushes a rod, and that cycles your whole bolt carrier group or your action. Where in a direct impingement gun, you have gas that goes through a tube and just blows out the back to cycle your bolt. So that's the quick definition, but I did do a whole video on that as well. But yeah, HKMR 556 is an awesome gun, and I really like it. And this next one, so this is an AK chambered in 556. It's an Arsenal. This has got to be my fastest, flattest shooting 556 I own out of everything. And what's crazy was at the time this was considered a cheap gun. This again, this is an Arsenal. I bought it used for like 700 bucks. Years ago, Arsenals were not very cheap, but like they were about $1,000 to like $1,200 brand new. So you could find used ones for sub $1,000 all the time. And yeah, I bought this one for like 700 bucks. I added the accessories on there, but it kind of came pin and welded, so it's chopped. I don't know the exact barrel length, maybe like 14 inches, because this is a long muzzle device. It's got an ALG trigger in there, Texas Weapon Systems dust cover. I put a Surefire light and an EOTech on here, and this is actually the EOTech Zombie Reticle, just kind of a cool one. But yeah, this has got to be my fastest, flattest shooting 556 I own, and the trigger is the lightest. Like, it is so light, you can't feel when it's going to go off. It's maybe a 1.5 pound to 2 pound trigger. So not the greatest duty trigger, but it makes it for very fast shooting, and I really like it. AKs are fun. They're not like my go-to rifle by any means, but it is a lot of fun to shoot, and if I have a clip, I'll post it here for you guys to see. All right, so that finishes up over here. Next up over here, we have this cool one. This was a dream gun for a while. This is an FS2000 by FN, so this is a piston-driven bullpup rifle by FN. It is not the most practical rifle, but it's cool. I don't know the whole history of them. I believe they stopped importing them to the US in 2013, but yeah, it's very interesting. So you clear it back here. This is also known as the toilet bowl because it looks like a toilet lid cover. And yeah, so side charger right here. This one's kind of all tacticaled out, so I have a Streamlight ProTac on here. It's got an Aimpoint Comp M4. It's got a metal charging handle. They ship with plastic ones. And then it's got the factory tri-rail on there, so it makes it nice for adding stuff. And we got a sling. So this is like my tactical bullpup, but it's a very functional rifle. They have a 17-inch barrel, so a little bit longer than a standard barrel. And then trigger-wise, it's a very mushy, not great trigger. But if you're looking for a cool gun, it is cool. I think the Tavor, though, is probably one of the better bullpups on the market. Or now you have the Hellion, which is, I guess, updated as well, but at the time, I really liked the Tavor. And it was also comparable to like the AUG. Like at the time when I bought this, I had the chance to get this or an AUG, and I chose the Tavor. But yeah, the FS2000 was always just an iconic gun, and they're getting harder to get, and they will get more rare over time just because they haven't brought them into the country. So if you want one, they're not cheap, unfortunately. Yeah, they're just getting harder and harder to get. So if you want something like this, I recommend getting it when you can, because yeah, they are cool, but it's just a fun gun for me, but very capable. And I saw, like with that whole Ukraine war, I saw some people using these early on in it. I don't know if they're still in service in that war, but yeah, very cool gun. And then we have one of the other cooler AR-15 variants. It's kind of an AR-15, but it's also not. I think it's closer to the AR-18 or the AR-180 because of the way the piston system works, because you don't have a standard buffer tube that is needed for functioning. Like, it'll function with the stock folded. So this is a Sig MCX Virtus. It's an 11.5-inch barrel, and I really like the MCX. Is it the greatest like shooter ever? No, but it does shoot great. Like, it's comparable to any other high-end AR. They are heavier, and then I'm running the suppressed with a 7.62 suppressor from Sig. Trigger-wise, you get a nice factory 2-stage trigger. It's not as light as some of the other ones, so at some point maybe I put a Geisley in here, but the downside is they're kind of proprietary triggers, so you got to buy an MCX trigger. But I like it. It looks cool. I really like the gray color they chose. At some point I'd like to get the spear, but just playing around with the spear and playing around with this, which this is the Gen 2, the spear is the Gen 3, I do like the Virtus a little bit more. So if you had to choose between the two, so far I like this one. I've shot the spear a couple times now, but I'd like to get a spear at some point. If I could choose one of the calibers for the spear, because they have it in a lot more calibers than this one, I would probably choose the 308, because I also have the Rattler in 300 Blackout, which is an MCX, the Virtus in 5.56, and then that spear would be the 308. So yeah, a lot of cool options with the MCX, and I only think the MCX is going to get more and more popular. Right now they're kind of in a lull too, because for the longest time they were hard to get, but MCXs have been pretty readily available. Specifically the spears, they're not doing the Virtuses anymore, so if you want a Virtus, you got to just kind of shop around for one, but I do really like it, and they shoot great. All right, we'll do this one last, but we got the Tavor right here. So this is a Tavor X95. This is one of the earlier ones. So they changed the charging handle on the newer ones. So the first X95s, it was a fixed charging handle, but the second gen, or whatever they call it, it has a more like collapsing charging handle. It's got like a 2-piece charging handle. They've never really labeled them by generation, but the newer ones do have a different charging handle. And then the model before this was the SAR. So the SAR had kind of a different back end. You had a magazine release back here. This one has a standard AR style mag release, and then safety is pretty much the same. But yeah, Tavor is awesome. I have a Geisley trigger pack in here. I do have a Geisley trigger for it because they are separate. I just haven't installed it yet because apparently it's a lot of work to do. I just haven't done it. But I do have the Geisley trigger, and the trigger pack is currently in there. So the trigger pack is just 2 pins to put in. It's very easy, but the trigger requires more disassembly. And they have built-in rails, which is nice. So I have a Surefire light. I'm running my Silencer Go Omega 300 on here. And then I currently have an ACOG on here, but I haven't shot it with this ACOG yet. I had an EOTech on here, and I took that off to put on a different gun. I am going to take this ACOG off and put it on something else, and then get another EOTech for this one, because I like it. But yeah, I think this ACOG is going to go on like a Colt M4 style gun, because I just want an M4 with an ACOG on there. But yeah, Tavor shoots great. I ran this in an 8-hour rifle class like a few years ago, and it held up fine, suppressed, no problems. I don't have any gas bleed off on the side that some people do. But yeah, it's just a fun gun to shoot. And with the trigger, it kind of makes it comparable to an AR trigger versus other bullpups. So I do really like the Tavor. And like I said, at the time, I traded, I think I traded, oh, I know what I traded. I traded an LWRC piston rifle for this. And at the time, I could trade it towards a new Tavor or a new AUG. And I just chose the Tavor, which I'm glad I did, because the AUGs are cool, but they're not as modular as this. But I would still like to get an AUG at some point. And then we're going to finish it up with my favorite 5.56 piston gun that I own, or maybe favorite 5.56 ever. This has been on the channel more than any other gun, and this is my Scar 16 SBR. And I've been working on this thing forever. I have a lot of videos up on it if you want to see it shooting. But basically, we have a 10-inch Scar 16. I SBR'd this years ago. Got a Surefire 7.62 Mini on there, Surefire Turbo, at PLC, so it's like a civilian PEC 15. We have an L-can on here. My girlfriend just got me an RMR mount for our anniversary, so I just put that on today. It's going to get a flat dark earth RMR. I got a Viking Tactics sling, Geisley trigger, and this thing is a dream to shoot. It's not as soft shooting as this, I would say, but it's a very clunky, heavy gun, so it is very soft shooting. And it's very delayed because it's a very massive bolt carry group. But yeah, the Scar is one of my favorite guns. I shoot it the most. I have this and the 7.16, or not the 7, well, I have the 7.16 as well, that's from Sig. But I have a Scar 17, which is a 308. I just ran that in a match, and I've ran this in matches. And yeah, they gotta be my favorite 5.56, or my favorite gun in general. But is it the best gun? No, it's just one of my favorite guns. It was a dream gun when I was playing Call of Duty growing up. And I mean, I think you guys could agree. It looks really cool, and I'm very happy with it. So Yeah, it's gonna get an RMR on it here soon, and that will be for like night vision use for just quick acquisition, because it is a magnified optic, so it's a 1:4, but you have to kind of squeeze in like a ACOG, but the RMR will sit up top, so I could just be right here. And then if I'm running night vision, I'm gonna play with that. But yeah, other than that, these are all very cool piston rifles. There are still other piston guns I would like to get. So one that's been on the list for a long time, but it's hard to get, ACR. I had so many chances to buy ACRs for about $1,000 years ago, but it's just one of those ones. I never thought they'd go away, so I missed out. I would like an AUG just because it's an iconic gun. I'd like to get it in OD green because I'm kind of lacking on OD green guns here. I'd also like to get a Springfield Hellion in gray because I think that looks cool. It kind of looks like a Halo rifle. Other than that, there's a lot of other piston rifles. Like, there are so many different piston rifles that are awesome. There's not enough money and there's not enough time to shoot them all, even if I get them. Like, I don't shoot every one of these guns all the time. So SCAR I shoot the most. I would say second would probably be this Sig Virtus. Other than that, I mean, it just kind of depends on what I'm feeling that day. But yeah, there are a few others I want to get. There's also a lot of other popular piston guns in the market right now. So you have the PSA Jackal. Another SCAR type rifle that I've seen here and there is the XCR by, I think it's Robinson Armament, the XCR. So they do like an American type SCAR rifle. Some odd ones would be like the Beretta ARX 100. Oh, I also forgot, like IWI, the people that make the Tavor and the Galil, they make a lot of cool stuff. So they have one called the Carmel, which is like their SCAR rifle. I don't like the one that they brought into the country, the 16-inch one. I would much rather have like the 12-inch barrel. They also have the ARAD, which is their version of a 416. I could see myself collecting all the IWI 5.56 guns because they make a lot of cool ones. But yeah, other than that, I mean, that's kind of the main ones. But yeah, again, I am a rifle collector and shooter. Like, I shoot almost every week. So I know this seems like a lot, but it's my favorite thing. Again, I love rifles, and I definitely buy way more rifles than handguns. So if you guys ever have any questions, comment down below and comment with like video ideas that you might have. Also, this Friday, I do viewer builds. So every Friday, I do a weekly viewer build video where I show off your guns. And this Friday's theme is going to be subgun setup. So either a pistol caliber carbine or any type of like subgun. So, you know, 9mm, 10mm, 45, stuff like that. If you guys want to be a part of that video, what you're going to do is you're going to send a picture of your build. So it can be front and back if you want, or just one picture. But you're going to send it to my email at sales@atroxco.com. And you're going to describe the gun from tip to butt, just all the features that you may have done to it. And yeah, if you guys want to be a part of that video, just send that to my email at sales@atroxco.com. I've done 8 of them so far, so if you want to know what they're like, go check out any of the 8 I've posted. And other than that, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Again, thank you for the 300 new subscribers today. That's awesome. I post every single day. I do at least a video and I do a short, so go check those out too if you're not watching the shorts. And other than that, yeah, stay tuned for my next video.